ESPNNewYork.com. You can read right now our Ian O'Connor, good friend of ours, just an excellent columnist, writing about how don't blame Melo for the loss of Jeremy Lin. Do not blame Carmelo Anthony. But within his column has a couple of interesting notes, one of which perhaps you would want to blame Melo for. This from a source who had extensive dealings with the Knicks and their players. Quote, Melo didn't want Lin back. I do know that. Everybody in that locker room wanted Lin back except Melo and J.R. Smith. End quote. And then an interesting story about James Dolan, in which Glenn Grunwald was talking to a member of the press, making his first comments in the height of insanity about Jeremy Lin, and then Dolan interrupted saying, this is unauthorized anyway. He was smiling but not kidding, and he pulled a shrinking Grunwald away. And Ian follows it up saying, now you know why the Knicks never bothered calling Phil Jackson a figure too strong for such bunks, Stephen.
Well, here's the deal. That part is the most poignant because I'm of the personal belief that is the biggest impediment to the New York Knicks' success. You have to understand that in order for the Knicks to elevate themselves to the level that they aspire, outside of lucking up by drafting a rookie who becomes a sensation, you have to go the free agent route. You have to get stars via free agency. In most instances, you have to overpay them, Amari Stoudemire, or because $100 million, I mean, come on now. We all know he's big time, but not $100 million. Or you have to do the same thing with coaches, a la Phil Jackson and others you can't get because they don't want to come here and be subjected to archaic rules and regulations as it pertains to basketball operations. You are a basketball guy, and Barry Watkins, the director of communications for Madison Square Garden, what have you, can ultimately get you fired. Okay, that's a problem because he shouldn't have that kind of cachet over you as a coach. You understand? If anything, he's supposed to be answering to you. You're the coach. But that has not been the case. You know, with the New York Knicks organization, you better have people you speak to directly. You better have people that you have face-to-face contact with, you know where they're hanging out and all of that other stuff. I mean, you have people within the Knicks organization that has the right to check other folks' emails, phone messages and text messages and voicemail messages and stuff like that. I mean, it's unreal. It's on another level. And I'm not knocking Barry for that, and I'm not saying it's him directly. It'd be irresponsible for me to sit here and act like and say that I know specifically as this person or that person. I've heard things, but I'm not going to go there. I'm simply going to say that James Dolan runs the operation. And James Dolan runs the operation in a way where he's more protective of his interest than focused on the importance of winning. And as a result, it serves to the impediment of this franchise because it makes them unattractive. Donnie Walsh is happy to be gone because of his experience here with the New York Knicks. Phil Jackson, in part, didn't want to walk into a situation like this because you don't want to hear somebody telling you when and where you can talk.
When you're more accomplished than them.
When you're Dolan and you're grabbing somebody and you're saying this is not authorized, this is unauthorized anyway. This is the GM of your basketball team talking about basketball-related matters, and you're going to tell him he can't talk about basketball? He's a grown man. You don't think he knows what to say and what not to say, but you're grabbing him and saying this is unauthorized. This is part of what makes the New York Knicks organization unattractive because you can't have that kind of pettiness that you're invoking against grown men. When you're talking about basketball, that's what you're talking about. Now, it's like you just look at it and you just say to yourself, really? Do you have to go there? Donnie Walsh, listen, I didn't agree with everything Donnie Walsh did, but he did a damn good job. And Donnie Walsh was a 70-year-old man who had been associated with the NBA for 40 years. I think he would know what to say and what not to say. But you had people trying to police what he said. Larry Brown, I understand how bizarre he can be. He's a bit different. Okay, no doubt about it. Bit temperamental and all of those things. But this is a Hall of Fame coach, a champion with a reputation as Mr. Fix-It. And you're going to literally talk to him and say, well, you can be fired for talking to the media. Now, mind you, not sitting there leaking private, clandestine information about the New York Knicks. Oh, yeah, I'll comment on this player.
Yeah.
That play. That's what his job
Well,
is.
it's no different. I mean, you got to trust the people you hire. You have to be able to trust them.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. The New York Knicks, they're out of control in that regard. To say childish, to call them childish in that as it pertains to that would be kind.
Yes. And you know what? Think about here with Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Rucco on the all-new ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Think about successful franchises. Think about successful people. You surround yourself with smart people, and you are okay allocating responsibilities. That is a method that is used across all platforms. Look at the New York Giants. Why is John Mara such a great owner? Well, part of the reason he's a great owner is because he says to Jerry Reese, go do your thing, man. He's not monitoring Jerry Reese's every phone call, hawking over him. He trusts him to do his thing.
And when Jerry Reese comes on the phone or Billy King comes on the phone or whatever, they understand there's certain things like you can listen to them. You can ask a certain question. You can tell there's certain things they can't say. There's certain places they can't go. And I think let me tell you something right now. I have profound respect for Glenn Grunwald. He's a good man. And he knows basketball, and he knows his job description. This is the former general manager in Toronto. The man knows what he's doing, but he doesn't belong being the face of anybody's organization.
Nope.
Not because the face of the organization has to have his own personality. He has to be somebody that can, charismatically to some degree anyway, represent in New York City, a franchise moving forward. Let me tell you something right now. And I'm not sitting here saying when Billy King makes a bad move, because he will do it because he has done it in the past, I will call him on it. But make no mistake about it. Billy King is a face of an organization, and appropriately so, because this man knows his job. He's got style. He's got charisma. He's got know-how. He knows what to say, when to say, how to say it. He knows what pitfalls to avoid. He knows how to be the face and the leader of an organization. What we know of Grunwald, I'm not questioning his competency. I want to make sure I'm clear about that. There's no reason to question the competency of Glenn Grunwald. But when you think about the New York Knicks, you would think that they would have somebody front and center to be the face of the organization. Say what you want about Dave Checkers, because I have my issues with him.
Yeah,
boy, what a face for the Knicks organization. Am I lying?
It doesn't.
It's special. It matters.
You know what? But it doesn't matter with the Knicks, Stephen, because James Dolan's going to be the face.
But let me tell you something.
He's going to make sure he's the face.
I feel what I'm saying to you, but what I'm saying to you is that when his daddy was running the show, Dave Checkers was the face of the organization. He personified Knicks basketball, Rangers hockey, Madison Square Garden, and it resonated to the point where it was box office. You saw somebody like Dave Checkers, and because you had a Dave Checkers, you had no problem with having a Pat Riley, because you never worried about your face being the face of an organization,
sure,
because you knew you wouldn't be usurped. You see what I'm saying? If you've got Billy King, it doesn't matter whether it's Avery Johnson, it's Rick Carlisle, it's Larry Brown, or even Phil Jackson down the line, okay? But with the New York Knicks, that does matter, because the New York Knicks want people all to be puppets under the strings of James Dolan, who's obviously the face of this organization. Hence, you have somebody like a Glenn Grunwald who doesn't have that personality that comes ringing, that makes you think about the New York Knicks, even when you're not thinking about the players. That's what you want. You want somebody that makes you recline back and sit there and say, no matter what's going on, somehow, some way, it's going to be all right. Because we have this face as the face of the organization. But because we don't have that, we are forced to look at Melo and Amari and Lynn and J.R. Smith, because the person at the top doesn't leave us comfortable.
That's the Knicks organization in a nutshell, baby.